Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your comicologist supreme. As Today we are going to be talking about the movie version of The New Frontier called Justice League The New Frontier, which really has nothing to do with
The Justice League of America.
because the book, I mean, they just plastered it on the title there, so people would think it was because the JL Justice League Unlimited had just wrapped up, I believe. It's from 2008, and it's an adaptation of Darwyn Cooke's. That's his name right there. Darwyn Cooke's amazing. There's the Blu-ray. I just got this one because, well, I just got this one. It's an adaptation of Darwyn Cooke's amazing limited series, DC: The New Frontier. See, Justice League wasn't even in that. But there it is, and that's they have special features on both the DVD and the Blu-ray. This is from these pictures are from the DVD. Anyway, the New Frontier came out. It was 12-issue limited series in 2004, and thanks to my wonderful friend Julie, I got both of them as a gift, and I've read them several times. They are better than this movie. This movie is very good, but it's could have been better. So I highly recommend. I saw the movie first and then read the books, and the movie was good. I thought it was pretty great when I first saw it, and then I realized how much they had to leave out, and which you have to do. They would have had to do anyway. But and this is hindsight, of course. But so back then, everything DC did had to be 75 minutes. All their movies were always 75 minutes. They should have done this in two parts. That's long story short. So here's our beginning. Let's see, where did I pull this up at? Yes, right here.
We stand today on the edge of a new frontier.
Well, there's JFK right there. The trailer just goes right into it. Movie starts out with a bang. We find out that a gentleman is writing a book. I always thought the gentleman in question was a stand-in for Dr. Seuss because he wrote kids' books that were highly rated. But an unknown entity called the Center has decided it's going to destroy the human life on the planet because it was born from the Earth itself, and it thinks that it's everything. It thinks it's all about them. And it's telepathic or psychopathic or both. And anyone who can receive that's more able to receive that, much like the Force can affect gullible minds. But so the Center, they can't even spell it properly. So go figure. But it's on its way to the surface and it's going to leave the planet. But before it does, it's going to kill everything, all the living life forms, especially the humans who have decided they could figure out how to blow it up. So it's afraid. It's the last story. All right, there's our lovely New Frontier logo, title. I love there's a lot of just lovely imagery from its start. These are all the credits, thanks to that horrible loser, what's his name, McCarthy, who history should always shun, like all of his ilk.
The frontier of unknown opportunity and peril. I'm asking each of you to be pioneers towards that new frontier.
Unfortunately, this trailer just gives away stuff right away. But yes, this is documented in Roy Thomas's America versus the Justice Society, or Justice Society. I don't know how they went after him and wanted him to take their masks off, and instead of, now this is a retcon, of course, double retcon, because there's no Earth 2, or maybe there is now, who knows. But the Justice Society retired and said, "We're not taking our masks off. You won't know who we are." Now, and that was the 1940s. In the 60s, everything changed. And then because Earth 1 and Earth 2 became separate, even though Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman had been published, and Aquaman and Green Arrow had been published all the way through. So here, Darwin has presented it as just like the crisis. There was only Earth 1. It's like John Byrne's Generations. Very similar, except not told just by Batman and Superman. But you can see the Flash, the Hawk, Dr. Fate, who doesn't play. Once again, it's a 75-minute movie. It was, and it's really condensed down. There's a lot of stuff that gets left out, which would have been really fun to see, I think. Bruce Timm produced it. He's, of course, responsible for a lot of the DC animated, well, whatever. Batman, Superman, Justice League Unlimited, probably Batman Beyond, etc., and so on. But it's got a lot of different, all the voice actors are different. We'll go through them here and there. So the problem is that the U.S. government is rounding up superheroes and treating them really shabbily, putting them in some underground place that they shouldn't be, and leaving them in their costumes in the book. Our Man never gets out of his costume, it looked like. Be that as it may, there are some things that were problematic. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect. So this is where we start out. It's 1953, June 20. I don't think it goes any further than that. Hal and Ace Morgan, who is one of the Kyle Ace Morgan, who's one of the challengers of the challengers of the unknown, the original Fantastic Four, till they, and they're flying around in Korea right as the at the armistice, or the ceasefire. But Hal has to kill one of the Koreans, and then he goes into a depression, and all he wants to do is fly and go to the stars. This is an adult show, and that's one of the reasons why don't understand why it had to just be 75 minutes or two. It couldn't have been 2 parts. First 6 issues, second 6 issues. Darwyn Cooke was also responsible for the excellent Future Quest, which, boy, would I love to see that as a animated series, or a animated. Heck, I want to see a 12-part animated series. They could just do each issue. Be that as it may. After Hal gets taken to a hospital, he recuperates. We're in Gotham City, which is actually what happened in the comic books, where Saul Erdel teleports John Jones, to the last survivor of the Green Martian race, though we don't know that at this point in time. Then dies of a heart attack because he sees John. They're shapeshifters, so he takes his identity and his car and his money. And then we go to Korea, where Clark, Superman, is not happy because Diana let all these women kill the men that had put them in tiger cages and other things. Yeah, very adult themes. I don't know what it's rated here. John Jones is, let me get to the cast here. So Hal Jordan, there's no Hal Jones. David Boreanaz, the former Angel from Buffy and Angel, is Hal Jordan. Miguel Ferreira is John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, also John Jones. Superman there is Kyle MacLachlan, and as everyone always wanted, there's Lucy Lawless as the amazing Amazon herself, Diana. And she doesn't back down from Clark at all, not one bit. She calls him Cal, I believe. And when you look, and this is brought up in the commentary, Diana's taller than Cal. So Wonder Woman doesn't tower over Superman, but you think Superman's probably 6'2", 6'3". Batman's about the same size, but so Diana's got to be 6'4", 6'5" right there, maybe. And these are all the art is directly from. They adapted it from Darwyn. So here we go. He's suffering for Indochina. This is the Daily Planet, of course. He must have changed his name from the Daily Star. Superman. Where do we go? Yeah, Kyle. Okay, so we haven't seen anybody else. Oh, Ace. Um, let's see if anybody. Will they have Ace in here? That in the trailer you heard John Kennedy. That was John Kennedy. Award-winning graphic novel. I was trying to find out who played Ace, but I'm not seeing him in here. So we'll just have to go on. There's John. He's watching Earth television on a very flat screen, what looks like a flat screen television. So maybe this Earth got rid of cathode tubes early. But he's showing off his shape shifting, and there you hear Bugs Bunny, who was was Joe Alaskey as Bugs Bunny, and who may be that maybe is Ace Morgan was John Hurt. So yeah, there we go. And there's a lovely shot of look at that. This is right out of Superman the animated series with the futuristic design, the I want to say neo Art Deco or modern furniture and stuff. I just love this look. I really do. Art Deco, nice. Egon Spengler. And I'm assuming by this time, since it's 53, Superman's been active for 53 and 38 to 53, 15 years. So if he was 18, he might be younger than Batman a bit. He's in his 30s. I would think that he and Lois doesn't have any secrets from him. She, if she's not an idiot, she's going to realize that Clark and Superman are the same person, and he's going to be tired of deceiving her. They're having a heart-to-heart. She's annoyed at Wonder Woman, but she's also annoyed at Clark for not being a leader. Then we go to Las Vegas. And now while this is not supposed to be, it's Buddy Somebody or Another, which I think is an homage to Jerry Lewis movie, which I don't remember the name, but Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Lewis. But I think it's supposed to be Frank, who's hitting on Iris West, who is engaged to one Barry Allen. And I believe this is Ted. This is Ted Grant, and he might be fighting a stand-in for Mr. Cassius Clay, who had not turned into Muhammad Ali just yet. But maybe not. I'm not a big boxing fan, although I do like watching good fights, not just boring ones. They hug each other all the time. This is a little minor subplot, which is bigger in the comic book. Captain Cold. Yeah, Captain Cold. It's not Mr. Freeze or Mr. Zero or the Icicle or Killer Frost. It's Captain Cold, so guess who's not far behind. He's breaking the sound barrier here, but he made sure to do it after he got out of city limits, although those poor animals who were having to deal with it, didn't really care about them, does he? And he defeats Captain Cold, and it snows in Las Vegas. So viva Las Vegas. Just a lovely, it's really well done. The animation's great. The story's very good. Like I said, there's some problems here. Now, because Ted Grant, of course, is Wildcat, so that's just Hal's showing up at Ferris Aircraft. Look at these just super cool designs. You don't see, they're so boring nowadays. And John's watching television still, and he decides to be a detective. And fortunately, he realizes his name, John Jones, is in English is the same as John Jones in Martian. There's Hal and Carol having a moonlight dinner. And that's Slam Bradley, who is a secondary character of from Detective Comics, from DC, not just Detective Comics, but he's nice touch that he's John's partner. And this is where we see Batman, who's played by Jeremy Sisto. 6 Feet Under, Cyrus Lupo in Law and Order, and other things. He's an okay Batman. This is right after the animated series, and you're like, well, he's no Kevin Conroy. But then you realize, well, who is? But he's also not even Diedrich Bader. Balder? No, he's on the Rainbow Bridge. Never mind. The guy from The Brave and the Bold. But he's good. He's good enough for this movie. So he's beating the crap out of these cultists. I mean, breaking arms. I mean, he's brutal. Yeah, we see John's weakness to fire. Batman's trying to save a kid who's terrified of it, just as terrified as him as the cultists, which comes in slam. You can see John's got fire in his eyes. Now, it used to be John was weakness was flame. They changed that in the comic books to what do you call it? It was a psychosomatic weakness because he associated it with his family getting killed. So that's why I'm glad they changed that, because fire is everywhere. Fire, fire, fire. And there's Rick Flag, General Asshat. Even though, his intentions are good, he's kind of an asshat. He and Hal do not get along because he thinks Hal's pink. And now we're going to the secret of Ferris Aircraft. Carol is voiced by Brooke Shields herself, doing a great job. King Faraday, who I was not familiar with at all, voiced by Phil Morris. He played John Jones on Smallville, and Jackie Childs, I'm not familiar. He's really good. I like King. He was also in the Justice League Unlimited, but he didn't get, well, as we'll see or find out. Lois Lane is Kira Sedgwick. The Closer. Yeah, I don't know. Never watched any of these shows, but there's John's footprint that he left. So they know a Martian's on Earth, but they don't know where he is. Now they're looking at this lovely three-stage, or the rocket right out of the 50s, late 40s, but definitely right out of the early 50s. And they're going to Mars. And so Hal's all excited. Now, John's been collecting stuff about this Doomsday Clock stuff. Look, there's Adam Strange, and there's not John Henry, but he's spookifying the KKK, which is always a good thing as well. Life on Mars. And okay, so while that's going on, the government's trying to capture the Flash with a robot. They're advanced enough to have a robot Grodd. And, this is the first couple of years of the Flash, although Flash didn't come into existence until 1955, so it might be a little early here, but maybe, I guess it probably is 55 now. So Batman's probably close to 35. Superman's a couple years younger. Diana's immortal. Don't have to worry about that. He shoot a tranq dart at him, and he just vibrates out of the way and runs away. That's it. And in the book, he punches out, gives King Faraday a punch in the jaw, but you don't see that here. See, there could have been so much more stuff in this movie, but not in 75 minutes. They move it right along. Footloose and fancy free. Now, they've captured a guy who's susceptible to the center. So King's there with John Jones. I kept this because it's a certain police commissioner, Gordon. And the government has come to get the guy. There's Mars. It's just a beautiful picture there. And so this is John Jones shakes his King's hand and finds out, okay, I can go back to Mars. They're planning a trip, not realizing what's about to happen. There's John Henry, and he's been terrorizing the KKK, which is always a good thing. It's tragic in the book what happens. They just mention it, gloss over it here. It's a minor subplot. The Flash, played by John Neil Patrick Harris, rushes in and tells him he's quitting because his own government's trying to capture him. Now, in the book, he mentions Jay Garrick being the Flash, like it's common knowledge, which I don't think that was, Jay probably would have sought him out once if they were on the same Earth. He would have said, hey, I've got to find out about this guy. But why he'd tell everybody that Jay Garrick was the Flash has always bothered me. He doesn't do it here, so that's a plus. And then you get this lovely thing that any of us of a certain vintage are very familiar with. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. Batman's doing his microfiche research. Ray Palmer. We all know who that is. The Silver Age Atom. And talking about the losers. This is a major subplot in finding out what the center is all about. Not mentioned. This is it. They're only mentioned. So once again, read the books. They're great. Dinosaur Island, also with the losers, and of course, they're not giving you anything to really look at there. There, John finds the Bat Cave, surprising Batman even, and tells him he's leaving. Look at that classic Batmobile there, and this is it's just lovely futuristic 1950s technology, right out of any sci-fi movie. Gotta love it. Hal and Flag take off. Now in the book, Hal's not on this plane. John tries to get on there, but decides to save because King sees him in the smoke and vapor and tries to catch him. And then because the rocket blasts off, John decides to save him and gets captured. There you go. Man, Pinocchio in outer space could have been in this rocket. Oh, look, it's Hal Human Torch. Because he gets ejected because Flag tells him that they can't land. It's too risky to land the rocket. They have an engine malfunction, and because it's full of explosives and nerve toxin and things, in case the Martians weren't friendly. It's just in case. We don't come in peace. But guess who shows up? They call in the big guy. He grabs Hal and then watches it go kaboom! Boom, boom, boom. It blows up real good. So Cal visits here at whatever they're holding him, Rikers Island. Who knows? There's John, who's just sitting there because he's depressed, can't get home. And Cal says, Superman says, you like me and I'm an alien. Well, and he doesn't even give him. He says, because I don't look like that, isn't it? I mean, really, Superman's the ultimate illegal alien because he could take over the planet if he wanted to without any problem. And he tells him that John could just escape anytime he wanted, could leave anytime he wanted because he could he's intangible. And Diana's back on Themyscira, and she's having a little friendly match with whoever this is. I don't think they do it. Keith David supplies the voice of the center, and it's very nice. Phil Morris. Okay, I don't know who this young lady is fighting Diana, but she gets defeated, and then as soon as the center attacks Paradise Island, and I don't know if it's been obliterated in this reality or not. It's kind of left up there because it doesn't really attack it; it just flies over it. But the Amazons, defend themselves, but they don't have mass firepower. Here we are again. Hal's all depressed because he can't get to space. That's his dream. And what's about to happen here. Thanks to the huge explosion, Abin Sur's ship is damaged. And he sends the ring out, and he's dying, and he sends the ring out to find a fearless man. No Guy Gardner, nobody else. That was all retconned as well. Well, that wasn't really a retcon, kind of. And there's Abin, who's not quite as human as the first one in the comic books, telling Hal, here's my battery. Hal wanders off, doesn't. And, in the comic book, he plays with the ring for a while, but Robin gets to meet Superman. It's a nice touch. And Clark's telling Bruce, well, you've softened your look a bit. You have a sidekick. I mean, even in the mid-50s, that had to be a bit questionable. But he's like, I don't want to talk about it, but I meant to scare criminals, not children. So, Bruce is probably mid-30s, mid to upper 30s by now, so he's getting older. I mean, hopefully he's not that stupid and decides he needs to eradicate crime before he can quit. Just dumbest thing ever. And finally, the center attacks the mainland. There's a nice shot here of a pseudo Rodan with a prehensile tail, and everyone just starts blasting it. Diana shows up in her invisible plane, coated in blood, so she's not doing well. I like this because you see this in the distance and wonder, what the heck is that? And then realize she says she hasn't been flying it for a while. They have a different, longer scene in the movie where she just lays one on him, tells him to go out and fight. And, they're supposed to, in the movie, he calls her Diana his best friend, and that was not a friendly kiss that he gives her. And really, if Wonder Woman's going to kiss you, you're just going to get kissed. That's all there is to it. Oh, this says the Guardian was in this movie. I don't remember seeing that. Uh, Shane Habucha was Dick Grayson. Vicki Lewis is hired. Iris West, she was in Talk Radio. There are some people here. Joe Mantegna was the crooner that was hitting on Iris, so that's funny. Vanessa Marshall was that Amazon woman. Slam Bradley was Jim Meskaman. Captain Cold was James Arnold Taylor. And John F. Kennedy was himself. So that's the credited cast. Corey Burton was Abin Sur and Ray Palmer. And Lex Lang was Rick Flag and a soon to be seen Sea King, but he's uncredited there. I mean, they just get one credit because they'd have to pay him twice, probably. I like this shot of John playing chess because there is Martian chess, but it's different. I mean, that's in John Carter stories, and he likes King, so that's nice. There's John in his superhero form, but real men wear pants. In the book, he transfers into a suit. And so there's the first shot of the center here. Oh, geez, we gotta speed it up here. We're about done. The ring alerts Hal. In fact, we are going to go to part. All right, where were we, agents? Well, that's just a little interlude there because this will be. I just noticed that I only get 30 minutes to record with Clipchamp, so I have to do a second part. But it'll be all right. It'll be all right. And Barry's going down, and that is Barry. It's not any of the other Flashes, 17 million of them. There's Iris who says, I know you're the Flash. I'm a reporter. So if Iris can figure it out, hopefully this non-annoying Lois, Lucy's her sister, would figure it out as well. I didn't time that on purpose, but Hal's going down too. He didn't tell Carol he's got the ring. He doesn't actually know what the ring can, why it's there. But Abin Sur did tell him the Guardians would contact him when it's time. They had to change this a little bit because in the comic book it looks great, but they would have been right in the rocket in the ship's blast, and that wouldn't have been good for anybody. All right, so we're there, and the Army men are not happy to see the superheroes. We do get Adam Strange here, and Green Arrow, and the Blackhawks. So quality heroes are here, at least in this universe as well, which is fine. The Blackhawks merge very well with World War II, I think. Everybody's arguing, and then you get an annoyed Superman, and that's probably pretty much the last thing you ever want to see is an annoyed man god who says, knock it off, you boneheads. Knocks everybody down and then says, okay, we're here together, let's fight. Got to defeat this thing. So they do. And then Superman goes and flies right at the center and gets blasted back. So now you've got Clark Human Torch. A lot of people on fire in this thing, in this movie. There's Lois who's broadcasting the news that Superman hasn't been found, and they've been trying to find him. And then she breaks down. So that's Doc Magnus, which makes me very happy, being the big Metal Man fan that I am. I really wish Hanna-Barbera had done a Metal Man cartoon in the 60s. It would have been awesome, even if it was only 6 minutes at a time. I mean, they're cartoon characters to begin with. There we go. And so Batman brings Ray Palmer in, says, I've got this invention, but it's unstable. You had to use the white dwarf material to get it to be stable. Because Batman's not in. I mean, Batman, once he goes meets Superman and talks about it, that's it for Batman really in the book. But because it's Batman and they got to shoehorn him into everything, they give him a bigger role and take away Adam Strange's starring minute. The chief is in here. Dr. Professor Calder from the Doom Patrol should have been in here, but for some reason they've got Ace in here with the professor of the Challengers. And Ace is never portrayed as particularly bright in the stories I've read. So now they've got the attack. The Flash is going to be the one running it around, zapping it with the micronizer or whatever Dr. Palmer calls it. And that's another Challenger, I believe. And then Hal shows up, and they're old friends, and gives him some grief. And then the alien, give it away. The chest burster happens. These poor schlubs up here, they got killed. There's a lot of death in here, but only a few of the heroes. And they immediately just start firing, because at least the guns can slow these down. John goes out to fire it, but the center attacks his mind. Dun, dun, dun. Which is a cool shot. There's the center, headed toward the mainland. I don't know. In the book, it tells us why. I think it's after the fuel or more fuel to get to outer space. And our heroes attack. And Batman, again, was not in there, but they wanted to use the bat plane, and this was a way to do it. Once again, you don't have to shoehorn the bat into everything. But they seem to think so. There's really not a lot of talk in that trailer. It's sad. And I love the fact that the Green Arrow saved Batman from that big old pteranodon, or whatever it should have been. It's got a tail. It's not a real pteranodon. These are mutants, obviously created by the Center. Plays into their little rivalry they have in The Brave and the Bold, which is a lot of fun. Flirterers. There's the Hawks, who have upgraded to jets. The Black Hawks, that is. They've got I guess that's their symbol in the back there. They don't get much to do. Again, 2 parts, 75 minutes each, would have been great. They could have done more. It would have cost more, sure, but it would have been worth it. King sacrifices himself to stop this Tyrannosauroid, or it's got 3. Maybe it's an Allosauroid. Well, this mutant dinosaur. He's got an armband of grenades that snaps John out of it, and he goes. Jimmy almost gets eaten because he's taking a picture, and Diana saves him. This is a great shot in the comic book. Darwyn really had a cinematic eye. He's the late Darwyn, of course, because he passed away. And then she tells everyone to fight. And, once again, if Wonder Woman tells you to do something, you're going to do it. This is the only space ray we have in the show. These are all guns and bullets, just normal stuff. But Adam Strange, since he's been on Ran, gets to zap these dinosaurs. Normally, I wouldn't want dinosaurs to get killed or other prehistoric animals, pterosaurs. But since these are probably, I think they say they're in pain because of what the Center has done to them. So they're relieving it of, helping them. Mercy. Hal and Ace are in the middle of the center. Now in the comic book, Captain Nathaniel Adam is in there. So they've got a Charlton hero, Captain Adam. But I think he dies. But you never know because comic books. And it's warping reality. That's Ace there. And then finally, dun, 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 the Guardians contact Hal and tell him that the ring is responsible. His will can do anything. And he doesn't have a mask on in the comic book, but they just put the mask on him. So this is his original costume. He did it got changed a little bit in the later 60s to be a little more streamlined and cool, but he saves Ace, flies out. They're watching things. It's like, come on, guys. What are you doing? John talks to the Flash, who expresses doubts, but goes ahead with it because he's a hero. That's what heroes do. And you get some nice, they can blur these with the computer. The computer blurs it, I believe, that they've said and how they did that in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited to show the speed force. And there's a shot of Barry running around, the Flash running around crisscrossing the center. It starts, contracting due to the exposure to the micronizer, because I don't know what it was called. It just looks like a micronizer. He jumps off. John and Diana save him because he's exhausted. I'm sure he's probably going to eat 17 pizzas in a row. And the center still is heading toward the mainland, and they've got to figure out how to stop it, or these guys are toast because they can't get out of there in time. It's not. Because it's going to probably explode. And then Hal realizes, oh, I can do it. He drops Ace in the into the. This is right out of the comic book. Drops him right in the water. Pulls his life jacket plug and drops him right in the water. So Ace must have gotten picked up by somebody. And they don't know. The Flash is like, is that guy in the green? Was he part of the plan? Now, I loved Barry and Hal's and Ollie's and Ralph's friendship. I would read a mini-series, even a current one. If they did it right, it was light and not too serious, but serious enough. But the four of them having just going out on the town and just getting into an adventure would be fun, because it just would be fun. Maybe Hal doesn't or forgets to charge his ring because he doesn't think he's going to be out so long. The Guardians don't even say that. They don't even tell him about his 24-hour charge. But it would have been fun. I would read that. They talk about that in Justice League versus Avengers. It just makes me think of it. But Hal, there he goes. This is a great shot here. This is pretty much the Green Lantern story. He's the protagonist, even though he's probably the center of the story. No pun intended. Throws it right into space, and it blows up real good. Now, I hope that it was powerful enough to incinerate everything or shrank everything that just melted when it got back into the atmosphere. Center Human Torch. One more thing that's on fire. Then Hal goes terrassing around, to quote Ace, somewhere, because he didn't come back right away. I'm hoping that Carol was also smart enough to see through that mask. But as I said the other day, I love the concept of a secret identity is fun, but it's kind of useless in the long run. Finally, something shows up out of the water. They're a little worried, but turns out it's Arthur of Atlantis. And it's Arthur with his green gloves. Thank you, Casually Comics, for doing a Golden Age Aquaman, who was not the same as the Silver Age. I never knew that. You learn something every day. Who's found Superman, who's looking for someone called Lois. She runs up to him and is happy. Everyone just starts going, and Jimmy takes probably the greatest picture of his young life, which shows up on the Daily Planet. So yes, Batman's there, John, and so now the Earthlings have to deal with having two heroes from outer space. One of them's green, although no one would ever know it because he can change any shape, and he's not the Skrullian Sky Master. All right, so we're about done. Then we end up with the New Frontier dialogue from President Kennedy. And it's over all of this. So Superman showing John around. I'm assuming that's the ocean, not the amber waves of grain. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I thought it was the farm, but this looks like water to me. Barry gets a Medal of Honor. So obviously, 1960 even, from President Kennedy. So that seems like a jump from 53 to 60, but. You grant John naturalized citizenship? Does Cal wasn't born here? So, and then we go through a montage of him. Included this because Metalmen and Doom Patrol, two of my favorite probably my two most favorite DC teams after the Justice League. And our space heroes, Adam and Alana, I'm thinking that might be Eclipso up there, but I don't remember. And this is, John Henry Irons, so he'll be the future Steel. So a steel-driving man. And then Rick Flag Jr., I don't even know who his mom was. It's never really talked about too much. But again, he was the Suicide Squad before it was infiltrated by superheroes. It was just regular guys. All right, and then we've got some of the Teen Titans, although they're counting. I'm sure this is supposed to be Dinah's daughter, Dinah Jr., and then Supergirl, Donna Troy. Oh, but in this wouldn't matter so much because Wonder Woman's already a known quantity on this Earth. Speedy and Aqualad. Yes, that's not Billy because it's got Garth's curly hair. So nice to see, the Junior Justice League. You really don't need any. I mean, if you've got these two in there, the women are more powerful than the men, except for maybe Kid Flash. Then you got a montage of villains. The next one page had the Joker, but there you go. Look, the still inexplicably popular and doesn't need to be on this Earth. Plastic Man is here, along with, I think that's the Vigilante. I don't know. That might be Wildcat again. Metamorpho, Captain Marvel. Once again, these two are redundant on the same Earth. It's just, I don't know why they included him, except that they could. But yeah, so that's about it. There we are. Oh, and there's Starro and for the Justice League's first adventure. I don't believe Superman and Batman were big parts of those early. They were not. I don't even know why I said I don't believe. I've read them. Starro looks a bit more formidable here. And then there's our final card. There's the Justice League. And that is from the book. But again, the Justice League of America barely appeared in here at all. And we're done. So my fellow agents, just remember, if you do need an oath, in brightest day and blackest night, it's not the worst way you could start out an oath. But this is X7 signing off. Until our next assignment.
We stand today on the edge of a new frontier. The frontier of unknown opportunity and peril. I'm asking each of you to be pioneers towards that new frontier.